Whose fault is it? A story. What a wonderful girl, her father exclaimed when he first held the baby in his arms. She really was a wonderful girl, but this would become clear later. In the meantime, she was a baby like any other, tightly shut eyes, in a wrinkled and slightly puffy face. Yet, he thought he had never seen anyone more beautiful in his life. His firstborn, his daughter, just like he wanted. Her parents decided to name the girl Antonella in honor of her late great-grandmother, or Tonya for short. They worshipped her and loved everything about her. Her sparkling blue eyes, her pale hair, and her stubborn, indomitable character. Despite the early marriage and quick pregnancy, Tonia's father, Victor, took his parental duty very seriously. He had not graduated from university due to falling head over heels in love, but he found a job, and not just one. He worked as an electrician during the day and unloaded trains at night. He did everything to ensure that his girls had maybe not everything, but enough. In the future, this dreaming young man would achieve everything he had dreamed of. He would build a small but successful business. He would build it brick by brick until his very own car dealership stood in the city center. Everyone knew him, and he knew everyone, and his customers came from all over town. Victor and his wife Lena did not change at all over the subsequent 20 years, perhaps becoming a little better and more impressive. Theirs was a loving family. Lena believed that she had been very lucky. Her life was exactly how she had wanted it to be. She had no regrets, although she occasionally wondered if she should have found a job back then. Tonya was a good daughter to her parents. She did not misbehave at home, although her mother knew her better than her father. Tonya had great respect for Victor and always tried to show him her best side. Her relationship with her mother was more like with a friend than a parent. Tonya could argue with her, even raise her voice sometimes, or make fun of her. Lena didn't mind this, as she was still a child at heart. She had never truly grown up with such a caring husband. Victor took care of all the challenges in life, hiding them from his girls. He was always giving them money for the best outfits and fancy restaurants. The family was living it up. They stayed at a different resort every summer and came to see it as a given rather than a blessing. Could one say that they had become spoiled? Definitely. They did not live well, but very well, especially when compared to other people. At the age of 21, Tona was still living with her parents. She was satisfied with her life and had no desire to leave home. In the morning, she got into her German-made car and drove to university. She met her friends for lunch at popular places and was home by 4. She spent her evenings with an unremarkable guy from a poor family and very bad company. It was strange that such a good girl had gotten involved with such a boy. He clearly did not deserve this gift. Tonya lavished money on him, not only buying him clothes, but also paying for his food. She was in no hurry to introduce the boy to her father, because she was embarrassed. She did not really see a future with him anyway. Tonya did not want anything to change, such as getting married and especially having children. Tonya always spent her weekends with her dad. He took her to the lake or with him as he ran errands. She loved this time. She particularly enjoyed watching her father. She admired how he held the one hand to his lips, how he gripped the steering wheel, and the funny way he squinted in the sun. Victor was a very handsome, athletic, and well-groomed man. All of Tony's girlfriends were in love with him and never missed a chance to flirt a little. Victor found it funny because he still loved Lena like mad. The family planned a huge New Year celebration that year. Tony and Lena oversaw organizing and hosting this party. For some reason, they had decided that the theme would be black and white. Tony believed that this color scheme would make the event photos look especially luxurious. She went to the beauty salon on December 28th and asked the nail artist to make her nails look like a black veil. They turned out beautifully. If only she had known that the manicure would come in handy for a funeral rather than a party. In the evening of the following day, Victor stopped by the store to pick up the last party supplies and saw an unpleasant scent that deeply troubled him. A young guy was beating up his girlfriend in the car park. Victor loaded his purchases into the boot and decided to stand up for the poor girl. "Hey!" he yelled. "Get away from her! Right now!" The guy stopped and looked at Victor appraisingly. "Mind your own business, man. I said step away from her if you don't want any trouble." Victor slowly approached the couple. He was sure of his abilities and felt no fear that something might happen. No one could beat him in hand-to-hand combat. The young man tensed when he sensed Victor's strength and took a step back, releasing the girl. Victor was about to turn around and head back to his car when the guy launched himself forward and knocked Victor to the ground. Victor felt intense pain and a roaring sound that reverberated through his body. His vision went dark, and he thought that he had gone blind for a minute. The guy and girl jumped back in their car in alarm and drove away. Victor lay on the icy ground for a long time before he could get up. He was seeing double and felt very disorientated. He staggered to the car, found his phone, and called Lena. When she arrived, she did not immediately understand that something terrible had happened to Victor. She drove him back home, chatting about inconsequential matters. "So, you are saying that he pushed you?" "Yeah. We should check the cameras to see who it was. Maybe the guys from the dealership can find him and teach him a lesson." Victor groaned. "What's wrong? Have you been drinking?" Lena asked worriedly. Victor said something in reply, but she could not make out the words. Lena put her husband to bed and went to unload her purchases, coming back to check on him only an hour later. When she entered the bedroom, she noticed that Victor had not moved. Lena came closer and flinched when she turned on the bedside lamp. Her husband's eyes were bloodshot and his body was cold. "Donna!" she screamed in horror. "Call 911!" The ambulance arrived quickly. It was discovered in hospital that Victor had a fracture at the base of his skull and had been bleeding into his brain all this time. The doctors fought for his life, but it was too late. He died at 1 a.m. Tonya could not believe that her beloved father was gone. She stared at her black nails and thought that they were at fault for what had happened. She banged her head against the wall and ran from room to room, convinced that Dad was alive and this was all a terrible mistake. Worst of all, she really believed this. Even when his body was brought home and placed in the living room, she could not accept the truth. "I know you're alive. Open your eyes, please, Daddy, please." The sight of the distraught girl was heartbreaking for everyone present. In the commotion, Neither Tona nor Lena noticed how many people had gathered at their house. Victor's brother and business partner prowled through their bedroom for some reason, asking for certain seals and documents. Unfortunately, Lena did not pay this any attention at the time. Could you blame her? She was a woman still in the prime of her life, who had lost her love. Life had to go on somehow after the funeral. A month after the tragic events, police found the guy who had killed Victor. A trial was scheduled, but it made no difference to Lena and Tona, for it could not bring back their loved one. Until the reading of the will, the women lived on the savings kept at home, with no idea that they were now particularly beggars. It turned out that the car dealership which Victor had owned with his brother now belonged to his brother alone, and Lena and Tona had no rights to it. Victor's bank accounts had also been cleared out. Lena had to summon all her willpower and go to talk to Ray. When she entered her late husband's office, she was shocked by how different everything looked. The beautiful lacquered oak table with Victor's initials was gone, and so were the family photos and the plans he had cared for. The office was now Ray's domain. "Come in, my dear," Ray was smiling. "I wanted to talk to you about the inheritance." "Oh, yes. What exactly are you wondering about?" he asked as if nothing had happened. "Victor's half should have gone to Tona, as well as the bank accounts. He always said so. How is it that we've ended up with nothing?" "Listen, Lena, you know how we built this business, right?" "Victor built it, not you," the widow retorted. "That's not important. I'm listed as the co-owner. I don't want a fight right now. Let's not spoil the family relationship." "You've already spoiled it. All of Victor's hard-earned savings are gone. We have nothing. It's all yours now." "Lena, it took many years to build this business, and I doubt that you'll be able to run it properly. I don't want it all to go to waste. I'll hand over a portion of the profits every month." "Hand over?" Lena could not believe the conversation she was having with a man she had always considered her family, whose wounds she had always healed. "Well, yes. I don't see anything wrong with that. You might have to cut back on your spending, but your standard of living should remain the same. Besides, Tona has almost finished university. It's time for her to find a job instead of hanging on to her parents' coattails." "It's not for you to say when it's time for our daughter to do something." Lena stood up abruptly, yanking her fur coat off the gaudy ornate armchair. "Where are you going? There is no need to get angry." "The office looks like shit, just like its new owner." She spat on the carpet and left, slamming the door behind her. A blast of frosty air hit her face as she stepped outside. Lena wanted to drop dead on the spot. She was so angry that she forgot to call a taxi and wandered aimlessly. For a moment she forgot about her grief over Victor, hating him for leaving her all alone in this huge, cold world. It was growing dark by the time she reached home. Tona was shocked by her mother's blue and lifeless face. "Mom, what happened?" the girl asked, rushing towards her. Lena did not reply and went straight to the bar, reaching for a bottle of gin. Taking a sip straight from the bottle, she collapsed onto the sofa. "He's taking everything." "How?" "Just like that. He thinks that he had a hand in Dad's success, even though Dad hired him after the business was already well established. Remember him back then? He had nothing but problems, a divorce, and creditors at his heels. Victor had felt sorry for him. Lena burst into tears, burying her nose in the fur. Tonya clung to her mother and stroked her hair, tears in her eyes. Maybe we should hire a lawyer. Don't you think he's already arranged everything in his best interests? It's too late. The next 6 months passed as if in a dream. Lena and Tonya did not live. They survived. Every day was filled with pain. They could not let Victor go, and would reminisce about what he had been like every night. They felt like his spirit had never left the house. His things still hang in the closet, and Lena wrapped her arms around them every time, inhaling the bare remains of her husband's scent. She still could not believe that he was gone, her heart still bound to him. The money Reeve gave them was far from enough. After a life of luxury, they experienced want for the first time. Lena was forced to sell most of her jewelry. It was humiliating, but the sense of hopelessness was even worse. She hated taking money from Ray, but she had no choice. Lena even tried to get a job, but no one would hire her due to a lack of experience. The only joy in their miserable life was on the day they received their benefits from Ray. They would go to their favorite restaurant and pretend that everything was back the way it was. They had simply gone out as usual, and Victor was waiting for them at home. On one of those evenings, Tonya met Idrak. When Tonya and her mother were about to leave, the waiter did not bring them the bill, but pointed to a man at the back of the room who had paid it. Tonya was already tipsy after the wine, and thanked him in a rather vulgar manner, gesturing incomprehensibly. Lena was lighting a cigarette as she waited for a taxi, and did not notice the stranger approaching her. "Hello, Lena," the man greeted her. "Do we know each other?" "My name is Idrak. We met at the car dealership." Lena studied the man carefully, but could not place him. "We also met at the ski resort. My wife Natalie helped you with the jam zip on your suit." "Oh my God, I'm sorry, Idrak. I didn't recognize you straight away. Hello." Lena's face lit up. "So you paid the bill?" "Take it as a compliment. I heard about Victor and I'm sorry." "Yes, thank you." "Where is your friend?" "She's my daughter, actually. Tonya, come over here and say hello to Dad's friend." Tonya approached the man reluctantly and looked him up and down after a greeting. There was nothing remarkable about him. Idrak was a short man in poor shape. His eyes seemed pale, perhaps because of the rich red color of his hair. The only pleasing thing about him was his smell, for he smelled exactly like Dad. "Let's go. The taxi is here," Tony said to her mother. "I could give you a lift. My car is close by." "Thank you, but we can get home by ourselves," Tony snapped. On the way home, Lena scolded her daughter for her rude behavior, but Tonya just waved it off. She had become increasingly impatient and short-tempered lately. All the character flaws that Tonya had hidden from her father had come to the surface. The next day, a brand new shiny BMW drove up to their house. The driver was in no hurry to get out, so Tonya had to go outside to get the unwanted guests off their property. As soon as Tony appeared, the car door opened and a drug got out. He took an enormous bouquet of red roses from the back seat and said with a charming smile, "You certainly made me wait." "Then you shouldn't have waited. Why have you come here?" "To see you." "With flowers? Are you trying to hit on me?" "Well, yes. Why?" "Aren't you a little old for me? You could be my father." Tonya spoke impotently, yet something in her drew a drug. Perhaps the fire in her eyes, or the fire of her youth. "You certainly fancy. Shall we go for lunch?" "I have other plans." "Then let's have dinner. Give me a phone number." Tonya thought that she would not say no to a decent dinner at a restaurant, and gave the man her number. Lena came downstairs as her daughter carried the bouquet into the house. "Who is it from?" "From a drug." "My God!" Lena was alarmed. "He's married." "So what?" Tonya replied unflappably. "No, this won't do. You need to nip this in the bud. I know his wife, and I don't want you get entangled up in something like this." "Come on, Mom, what's going to happen? It's not serious. I'll just have dinner with him. I haven't been to the Willow in 100 years. What if someone sees you?" "No one's going to see us. It's Monday." In the evening, Tonya put on the best of her remaining clothes and went out to the driveway at 7 p.m., where a drug was waiting for her. Indeed, the restaurant was empty, except for the waiters. It turned out that a drug had bought out the entire restaurant for the evening. Tonya found it funny. She did not hold back at dinner and ordered all her favorite dishes.